Good morning, everyone. Well, it has been a while since I've done a Maxime Bernier Twitter Roundup, so this is the mid-campaign Maxime Bernier Twitter Roundup. Now, I want to say, with regards to the debate, I still feel like it was a washing machine, like it was watching a washing machine. And they dropped you in the middle of it, too. It was an already running washing machine, because most debates have a 1 minute or 2 minute intro for you to address people and say, this is what our party's about. And the reason that's important, the reason that 1 or 2 minutes is important is because what would you say to Canada if you had 3 minutes uninterrupted to talk to them? And that's part of the strategy of going into something like that, right? Like, you have to plan that. That's important. And what you choose to highlight is as important as what you say, right? If you talk about fentanyl and homelessness, then people are going to listen. If you talk about how we need to make sure speech is curtailed in a way that makes everyone feel fuzzy inside, you're going to, have a different kind of attention, right? And we were robbed as the Canadian public of that opportunity because of Justin Trudeau and because of the debate commissioner and because of the style of this debate. And, I guess a lot of factors went into that. And I don't know if it was intentional or if it was just a bad debate format. I don't know if that's what they wanted to do, that totally random question at the beginning. I don't know. But the result of that and those choices has been to have an less informed electorate. A lot of people don't understand even what the platforms are. A lot of parties don't even have platforms. And so that's interesting to me. All of that's interesting to me. And so here's Maxime Bernier with a 30-second spot that's airing on national television, and we'll play it. And as this is a Maxime Bernier Twitter Roundup, I thought this was a good place to start. So here we go. Maxime Bernier is tweeting, and then I'll play the video. He says, here's the People's Party of Canada ad that will air in the coming days on the CTV network. Watch the ad and share. Or watch and share. Here we go.
Are you tired of the same thing over and over again from the Liberals and Conservatives? They say anything to get elected. So how can you, as a voter, keep doing the same thing and expect different results? I'm Maxime Bernier. The People's Party of Canada will reduce immigration, lower your taxes, and fight political correctness. It's time for a change. On election day, try something new. Find out more at peoplespartyofcanada.ca.
And there you go. I think it's a clean ad. I think it hits at the heart of a couple of key issues. I like it. Generally, I like it. I think it's pretty good. I think the demographic he's talking to is an older demographic, right? I think that he's talking basically to me, right? 35 to 50, I think. But possibly 50 is getting a bit outside of my demographic. I may be stretching, but millennials, right? They're a big voter cohort. So I think maybe that's who he's targeting with this ad. But I could be wrong. Maybe older. Maybe I don't know. Okay, here's the next one. He says, quote, we spend more money paying the interest on our accumulated deficit than we spend on the Canada Child Benefit, equalization payments, and even the military. The PPC is the only party with a concrete plan to eliminate the deficit in 2 years. So I want to highlight this. This is what debt does, right? Like, we have to pay interest on that debt. We have to service that debt. So when we're paying the interest on the debt, it's not being spent on things that are benefiting Canadians. It's just servicing debt. And the more debt we get into and the lower investment in Canada and the lower our oil sands make our natural resources, because they are our natural resources, and the oil is being used. Other countries are fulfilling those needs. It's not like the oil's not being used, just other countries' oil that's maybe not as clean, that's maybe doesn't have as high environmental standards. So by not using Canadian oil, we're actually making it worse for the oil that is burned, which is incredible. Not to mention the $300 million a month we spend on Saudi oil for east of Quebec. What's that, SNC? Interesting, right? It's very interesting. So why is that nobody cares about debt? Because debt does not help Canada, despite what Justin Trudeau says. And budgets do not balance themselves, not even a little bit. Here's Mr. Bernier and a new tweet, and this is October 7th at 1:52 p.m. Sorry, I wasn't giving the dates, but that's roughly what we're going back to. He says, quote, radical climate alarmists are in a state of panic. They believe it's justified to destroy our economy and make your life miserable. This is just a preview of what's coming if we let them. Support the PPC if you want climate realism. And I don't understand why, if I and a bunch of friends got up in front of traffic, police officers would stop me. Unless I say it's about climate? Is that true? What is going on? Why are people allowed to block traffic when they say we're protesting this and here's my badge that says we're Who is this? Extinction Rebellion. Oh, you're Extinction Rebellion. I've heard of you. You guys stand there and just, you stop those cars. Sorry, we'll ticket those motorists if we let them. If we let them. Why are we letting them? I don't understand. This is not how we solve our problems. This is not how anyone solves their problems. This is ridiculous. Grow up. Back to Mr. Bernier. None of the other parties believes in fiscal prudence anymore. In order to buy votes, they made spending promises totaling tens of billions of dollars and proposed targeted tax measures that will only complicate Canada's tax system and make it less fair. Right. When you are targeting tax returns, tax policies. I was looking for a different word, but I didn't find it. When you change tax policies to incentivize things, that's all well and good until people start to game the system, right? And then it becomes who can game the system better. And that doesn't help people. A fair, even playground, a fair, even place to start your business with everybody else, that helps more people, right? These targeted tax cuts, I don't agree with them. I think that it's better to just lower the taxes for everyone, right? Remove the targeted ones and lower taxes for everyone. Back to Mr. Bernier. The oil and gas industry has been for decades a major source of employment, government revenues, economic well-being for all of Canada. It should be allowed to grow, export its products, and bring prosperity to our country. And I've made this point a whole bunch. We spend $300 million on Saudi oil, and I won't diatribe on, but it doesn't make sense when we're an oil-rich country. These are skilled jobs. It is safer to transport oil by pipeline, and wouldn't it make more sense to have Canadian oil and then maybe build refineries out east and refine our Canadian oil with our high environmental standards and our Canadian jobs and all of that money in our economy and not Saudi Arabia's economy or even other foreign countries' economies? Like, it seems like low-hanging fruit. Why isn't anybody doing this? Why isn't anybody illustrating it this way? I don't understand. Like, just the Saudi oil aspect of things would incentivize me to want to get this done ASAP. Right? It doesn't make sense to drag our feet on this. It doesn't make sense to ignore this problem. And yet the Trudeau government has ignored this problem for years. And so have other governments. And I mean, Mr. Harper built a lot of pipelines, but he didn't get Energy East done. It was in process and then killed by Trudeau. So just so we're all clear, I'm not blaming Harper for this. It's not Stephen Harper's fault. Okay, Lindsay Sheppard says, and Maxime Bernier retweeted, it's very strange how all of the other leaders are treating Maxime Bernier like he is completely anti-immigration when his policy would allow 150,000 immigrants per year, rather than approximately 300,000. Half of Canadians want lower immigration levels. And that's true. And every time I'm at the doors, I say it's between 100 and 150,000. I'm a first-generation Canadian, son of immigrants, and they recognize what's going on as a problem too. So yeah, this is not some kind of very, very out there policy. This isn't far right policy. This is what most people are wanting from their federal government. Responsible governance, responsible administration of our systems. And when you overwhelm our systems, that's not responsible. Our government is not behaving in a responsible way. Back to the tweet roundup. This is Mike, and he says, sums up the whole debate tonight. Quote, all the parties on the stage promise to spend your money for votes. I promise nothing to you but to balance the budget in 2 years and then lower your taxes. That is the only responsible policy. Yeah. Here's Mr. Bernier, and he says, seems like Canadians were interested in what I had to say at the leaders' debate last night. And he says the same thing in French. And the purple line is People's Party of Canada, and blue is, right, green is green, and blue is, right? Where's that red Liberal line? Oh, there it is. I was saying, I think, and I don't think this is polls, but this is where the purple line is the right. Oh, I can't do it. The right, the center is the blue, and the left is the 3 split. And I think that's pretty accurate. And I think that the split is going to look a lot like that too. So anyway, it's interesting. I really do think this election is between the PPC and the CP and the Conservatives. But I mean, I could be very, very surprised. Who knows? With all the scandals, I don't see how anybody's still supporting Trudeau. I really just don't. Anyway, back to Mr. Bernier. He says, did you hear about the People's Party of Canada for the first time during the English leaders debate last night? Are you curious about our platform and how we are different from all the other parties? And he gives a link. So that's good. He says, Canada's free speech champion Dorothy and her husband Brian were our special guests last night at the leaders' debate. And he says the same thing in French. And this is the older lady with a walker who was yelled at and screamed at by Antifa. And here is, while Justin Trudeau and Andrew Scheer had very similar statements on the closing of the Sophie's on Queen, but they didn't mention anything about the fact that Sophie's had a family member who had joined Antifa and blocked that older woman from crossing the street at a Maxime Bernier rally and was calling her a Nazi, etc. And this is what caused the backlash. And I'm not saying, again, that anybody should be threatening the parents. I mean, it wasn't them who did this. But it's interesting that Justin Trudeau and Andrew Scheer both ignored half the story, because there is another half of the story. It's not just that the restaurant closed. There's a reason the restaurant closed. There's a public backlash because their son was engaging in vile activities, like really unbelievable, right? And so Maxime Bernier says, quote, "Unlike Justin Trudeau and Andrew Scheer, I condemn both the hate and threats directed at this family because of the actions of their son and the hate and verbal assault from Antifa thugs directed at an 81-year-old woman at our Hamilton event last week." Yeah, I mean, and Justin Trudeau and Andrew Scheer didn't mention anything about that. And how Canadian is that? To stand in front of someone, block their way from crossing the street, and scream in their face. And then remember that the person is somebody with a walker. Are there a lot of Canadians that you know that would actually go through with that? That's incredible. That's incredible. Up until I saw it with my own eyes, I didn't think that was possible. Not in Canada. But unbelievable, right? Anyway, Mr. Bernier says, "Trudeau said our veterans were asking for too much. Now he's even cutting their healthcare services. Where does he find the money to pay for health services, build roads, and fight climate change in other countries?" Right. We still fund a lot of women's health services and abortions in a whole bunch of other countries. And our veterans aren't able to get the care that they need. That's incredible, right? Here is, well, there's a video playing, and I didn't mean to have the video playing. This is exclusive federal government cuts reimbursements for military health care, hospitals on the hook for millions. And this is the federal government. And Justin Trudeau wasn't aware of this as far as I know. The videos I saw had him kind of off balance and confused about what the question was about. Anyway, here it is. Quote, "The federal government has quietly rolled back what it pays hospitals to take care of military members, according to multiple sources. Global News has confirmed with sources within the military, provincial, and federal governments that the federal government made major changes this spring to the fees it reimburses to hospitals when they provide healthcare to military members. And that's leading to fears some members could be denied healthcare services. Under the Canada Health Act and provincial health acts, members of the military are not eligible for public health coverage under provincial plans. Instead, the federal government is constitutionally responsible for providing comparable medical care to all members, although more advanced medical care like surgery or MRI is provided at the same hospitals used by civilians. The military then reimburses the cost of providing those services to the hospital. It's effectively the same model used for treating out of province patients. But sources tell Global News that the Department of National Defense ordered a cut to military healthcare spending earlier this year, and the fees reimbursed to hospitals for seeing military patients was one of the first items on the chopping block. Set fees for services are laid out by the province's health plans. Well, it goes into the details of why the cuts matter, but I'm just going to leave it there for now. Link is in the description if you want to read further. And, well, I guess this is fitting to finish on, and with Remembrance Day, about a month away, Mr. Bernier says, "The Government of Canada has an obligation to honor the nation's sacred commitment to our military men and women and make sure our veterans receive the support they deserve." And there's a link to the veterans policy. And I'm not going to go into the veterans policy, but I don't think that, Justin Trudeau promised a return to the pensions for life, which was repealed by a Liberal government in 2006, and creating 3 classes of veterans. And when he got in, he didn't do that. He created a new program called Pensions for Life that is actually less than the program that was instituted in 2006. So there was a pre-2006, post-2006, and spring 2019 classes of veterans now, which is wild. So a People's Party government would fix that problem. But I digress. That brings us to the end of our Maxime Bernier Twitter Roundup mid-campaign. I will hopefully get to at least one more, but I do try and stay balanced on CanadaPoly.com. I am biased. I am a candidate, and my name is Mark. I'm from Guelph, and so thank you for watching. And, well, don't forget get out and vote. Voting day is October 21st, and have a wonderful, wonderful